So guys, welcome to another instalment of CVR POV. In this video episode we're going to be looking at really deep scratches that have left a pretty significant indentation within the lacquer clear coat. So these are usually those marks that you can just about catch your thumbnail in. So probably in most circumstances a bit too much to just polish out alone with some compound and a rotary or especially a DA. But also with this one we've got loads of really bad hedge scratches and swirls. This is under normal light, it's not even under any kind of special lighting. It's a Range Rover, and I think large cars, bad roads and lots of countryside hedges have pretty much destroyed most of the paintwork on this car. So this episode's good because it's going to cover obviously general heavy swirling and heavy scratches on the car paintwork, but we're also looking at those scratches that are deeper, that have gone that bit further. So I've masked off just a section of the bumper because we're going to do a before and after. That will show off the results perfectly. So what we're doing at the minute is we've just taken some sandpaper to the surface. These particular scratches that I'm working on now, they're really deep, so they've nearly gone down to the base coat underneath the clear coat lacquer. They must be just about hitting the base coat, so I've decided to use some 1200 grit. Now 1200 grit wet and dry sandpaper on car paintwork is probably about as heavy as you want to go. I'd perhaps only use this under, the circumstances where you feel that the scratches pretty much nearly broke through the surface. So we've just hit those two areas that had the worst scratches in a couple of times. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to keep going. You don't want to risk burning through the paint. I've took it as far as I could possibly take it under safe circumstances. So now we're just going to follow it up with some 1500 grit. 1500 grit might in most cases be the most coarsest grit that you need to use and that you want to use, and that's absolutely fine. Because I've been doing this for many years and I feel like I know car paintwork fairly well, I do feel confident in these kind of circumstances where I can use 1200 grit, but obviously use 1200 at your own risk. And yeah, so don't forget, obviously after that we're going to be following up with other sandpaper grades, so we are lowering the clear coat lacquer down. That does need to be considered. If you go too far with it, then you will burn through the clear coat surface and it will leave like a bit of a burn mark in the paint. So I just need to pre-warn everybody about that. So I'm just going over all the surfaces around the area that I've done the 1200 with 1500 grit. I'm not using a block in this instance because it's a bumper. There's lots of curved edges and a couple of swage lines on there. So when you are sanding by hand without a block, just make sure you're not pressing in with your fingers. Keep your hand and your palm flat. Okay, so you probably just noticed a minute ago I switched over the sandpaper to 2000 grit. I do recommend everybody that's probably not a professional to follow that up with 3000 grit. Paint Gear do an awesome little sanding pack, fine sanding pack, and that contains 12, 15, 2000 and 3000, so it covers everything. So another thing that Paint Gear sell is these cool little tubes of Freckler G360 cutting paste. Absolutely perfect for hobbyists, DIYers, and maybe a professional that wants to try a different compound. I really like the stuff, I've been using it for years. There's various good brands out there, it doesn't have to be this one, but I just think for overall cutting, polishing and trusting the finish that it leaves, as in there's not too many oils or any fake lubricants in there that sometimes can leave a false finish. I feel like this one's got a good balance of everything. So I've just taken the rotary polisher to that little area. I've put a tiny bit of cutting compound on there and I've just polished it up. So we're just wiping it down, and you can obviously see the shine that's replaced the dull finish that we left from the sanding. You've got to imagine when you're using any kind of fine sanding papers that as you work your way up the higher grades, obviously 1200, 15, 2000, 3000, 4000, you're getting closer and closer to that clarity and that shine back in the paint. So when you get to 3000 grit, you should start to see a little bit of clarity. It'll still be dull, but you know, you'll start to notice that the shine's slightly coming back. And when you use the cutting compound, it obviously brings that shine back, and you can see what it's done to the paintwork area that we sanded. So there's a little bit of a before and after bit, and it's done a brilliant job of bringing that shine back, and we've got a fresh new surface that we've revealed now. So I've just remasked that back up because I want to maintain the before and after shot at the end. So we're just going to continue with that polishing. Now, like with the sanding, it's always good to keep checking your progress, so we can see where we're at. Wipe the residue off and have a look, and if it needs a bit more of a polish, obviously polish it again. Just bear in mind, when you are using a cutting compound, exactly the same as the sandpaper, you are reducing the level of clear coat what's on the panel, so you can't keep polishing forever, unfortunately. It'd be nice if you could, but you can't. So we're just bearing that in mind. Keep the polisher moving, and keep it at a speed you're comfortable with, and like I say, keep checking the progress as you're working on a panel. It's easy to get a bit carried away, buffer too fast, leave it a bit too long on one of them edges or swage lines, and you could burn through the paint. So again, another thing to be aware of. Just take your time, keep checking your progress, and keep that buffer moving so that it doesn't get too much heat into any particular area at one time. As you can see, everywhere that I've been, using the buffer, we've started to bring that clarity and shine back into the paintwork, and you're just about to see it now when I wipe it down. We should be getting a really nice reflection now, because we've literally got a new layer of clear coat shining through, whereas before, as you can see, it was completely scratched. Swirl marks from aggressive washing techniques, probably car washers. It's been down some hedges, many hedges, bit of all sorts really. I'm not too sure exactly what the past's been of this car, but as you can see, before and after, it's a massive transformation that's not taken that long really. We've only used basic tools. You can pick a rotary or DA polisher up really cheap nowadays. They've all got variable speed. They're all pretty good if you're just going to use it occasionally, and you can literally transform your car on your doorstep, on your drive, and look at the difference that's made in a really short amount of time for not a lot of money. So that's going to end this video today, guys. So hit subscribe, like, comment, help support the channel. Really appreciate it.